Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
So there are times, my sister, that I'll be listening to, a podcast. What do you know? Yes, I listen to podcasts. Not a whole lot of them, but yeah. Listen to a podcast, I'm reading something, somebody will say something to me that will just kind of I just feel it. Something just resonates with me. And this is what I want to talk to you about today, because I had exactly that situation. Listen to a recent podcast by Danielle LaPorte, who talked about turning your pain into power. And, it was a really interesting conversation because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. And I know I've talked about it in the podcast as well, too. If you've been listening for a while, and some of you are listening to all the episodes, and thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm glad this is connecting with you and providing value for you. But it's this whole conversation where life shouldn't have to be a struggle. And if it's a struggle, then your shit's broke. And it's like, I do not agree with that. And that also this notion that, beautiful things don't have to come out of pain. Like truth, right? Total truth. And I love that Danielle LaPorte went there. And not because she was kind of on the same page of what I believe to be true. But she had just said, and this is the same thing. She's like, just something that I've questioned and thought about for a number of years. And it's like, does joy have to come out of pain? Does beauty need to come out of that space? And she was just like, the thing is, she's found in her life that it just doesn't happen any other way. It's like there's a contrast that needs to happen in order for you to see the beauty, right? Like, in other words, sometimes you don't know how good you have things until they're gone, right? Sometimes you don't understand how fast that life moves and how quickly and short that our lives are until you've lost someone significant in your life. Or you don't really value the person that is your husband, your king, your boyfriend, your partner in life until they're just not around anymore and you're no longer together. So beauty in life is experienced through pain. But she said this. Okay. And again, doesn't have to be the only thing. It's not like different conversation is like, well, I'm going to create shit just knowing that something good will come out of the shit. No, that's not it. You can't force these things. You can't manufacture them. You can't artificially put these things together. But she said this, which was really profound, which was, what she has found to be true for her. And again, this really connected because I feel this too. Well, she learned how to turn her pain into power so that, the ability to be able to work through and move through and even be in and just sit in that pain. It's not a bad experience. It's this crazy shit which says we shouldn't be painful. We shouldn't be in pain. It shouldn't have to be that difficult. Really though, the honest thing is it is difficult. It's not a bad thing to speak that truth. It's this whole disease of positivity of everything has to be great and I can understand where people are coming from. There's all sorts of awful shit in the world right now. Really awful shit. And I can understand and I can empathize with the viewpoint which is dude, can we just be fucking positive today, right? Can we just not talk about the pain today? Maybe that's all right. Can we just not talk about the pain today? So I get it. If this has been you, sister, I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I was doing a photo shoot yesterday. And, the message that I really convey with Women Wanting More is a strength, is a power, is a certainties. And oh my goodness gracious, is an intensity. This is what happens when you podcast and drive. I'm definitely focused driving, just as if I was sitting next to someone who's in the passenger seat and having a conversation. But yet, sometimes people just honk for no reason. So there you go. Okay. Where were we now? So the photo shoot. So Yeah, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for, and it's not just like cheesy grin all the time. It's just like, okay, a little more happiness now. And it'd be funny because I'd suddenly just break out and start laughing, and then she's like, shh, 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 like the shutter's like going nonstop because she's catching me in a moment that's just really like it's natural, right? And I looked at some of the shots, I'm like, oh man, these are so good. So I understand when you sometimes don't want to be there. And I know it. I know it's a human nature thing, right? To like avoid the pain, go towards pleasure. This is why people will numb with things, right? Like this whole quest of like to feel good all the time. Feel good feels good. But the thing is like you can really choose to, the pain that you're experiencing now, the pain that you have gone through, the people that have quote unquote wronged you, just the bad shit that's happened in your life or is currently happening in your life, you can choose to do something with it. Look at anybody significant and great in this world. They have gone through significant amounts of pain. Look at someone like Oprah Winfrey, molested and raped several times. Like lots of things that have happened to Oprah in her life. That's just a piece of it. Lots of things that have happened to her. Now, could she have just kind of like rolled over and said, oh my God, like I'm fucked. Like this is the way my life is. I'm worthless. I'm a piece of shit. Sure. And a lot of people choose that path, and that would be your choice if you choose that too, sister. But there's something also too in like sharing pain, finding the power in that pain. Like, you actually get your power back when you choose that. You reclaim it. When you say, you know what? This thing happened to me. This thing is happening to me right now. And I'm going to choose to find power in this. I'm going to use this pain as fuel. As sustenance, right? As like nutrition to propel me forward. I don't like the way it tastes right now, but I'm going to use it. So turning your pain into power. That you can have painful things in your life, and it is okay. And again, I'll have you consider that this is how so many beautiful things grow. One of my last live events that I had, the evolution, we talked about this with the sisters there of like, I go, just take a look at nature, right? When it comes to a lot of things in this world, we can take a look at nature. We can take a look at animals and see how they really respond, right? And when we take a look at the things that grow in our earth, trees, plants, bushes, flowers, what is the thing that we often will put into that soil to make it grow, to like make it like really thrive? We'll use manure, AKA shit. Right? Usually it's sheep manure, the one that I often see. That kind of funky smell that you smell come the spring months as everything's being planted. Shit makes things grow. Think about that for a moment, right? So we see this in nature. Like it's not all just we're just gonna do the sunshine and the water and here's all the great nutrition stuff. It's like, no, we're gonna put some shit down on this and oh my God, look at that stuff grow. Look at what happens. So listen, in your life, you can be going through something really, no pun intended, shitty right now. Something really painful, something really difficult. It is okay. Be honest about that. Don't try to cover it up. Don't. You're like that young dude that has incredible, like the most intense BO and you just cover it in cologne. It still fucking stinks. Like, be honest and real about where you are and the pain that you're experiencing. You can also share that pain. When you do understand, sister, that when you share pain, you connect people like a magnet. Because you're real. Because everyone's so fucking tired of fake these days. And all this appearance of everything's like great when it's not. So when you actually speak that truth, people connect with you. Intensely, immensely, profoundly, all the big words. Like, they get you, they see you, they hear you, because they are you. And you happen to be the one who's courageous enough to actually speak that, and they don't feel quite so alone in this process. So turning your pain into power. So here's your more tip for today, sister. I want you to take a look at either something that's painful for your life currently or something you've experienced in the past, and to journal this. At the top of your journal page, you're going to write, how do I turn my pain into power? And write and see what insights really come up from this. Significant, right? Our pain can take us down a path of why me, and and now again, feel the stuff, right? Sadness, depression, anxiety, anger, rage. Like, it can go to all those places, but then there comes a point where we have to step back and say, okay, look at, what am I supposed to be seeing in this whole thing? How can I take this and get something out of this experience and really turn it into power? So, sister, a couple things before we finish up. Number one, if this podcast moves you, resonates with you, you're thankful for it in any kind of way, I want you to do two things. Number one, to subscribe to this podcast and review it. Leave a 5-star review. These are reviews, by the way, that women actually read. Like, they'll go through, go like, is this one worth? Like, there's like a jillion podcasts now on iTunes, right, to choose from. I started podcasting 4 years ago, and podcasting even 4 years ago, people were like, oh, what's that? I still get some people now who are like, what's a podcast? I'm like, oh my God, where are you living these days? Get out from under that rock, right? But that also means there's a lot more inventory of podcasts. So what's going to make a woman listen to this one versus others? Well, it could be your words, right? It could be that you taking 3 to 4 or 5 minutes out of your day and leaving that review on iTunes, a 5-star review. Not for me, for the accolades, but to be able to have other women be able to find this podcast, sisters. So subscribe so you don't miss an episode on iTunes, and rate and review. Okay, that's number one. Number two, make sure to subscribe to the Women Want to More newsletter. This is the VIP access. Okay, I'm going to send you my More For Action Guide, which is how to start your day in power, and 2 very, very incredible video trainings that I did inside a private Facebook group on how to really remember who you are, how to drop your stories and create new ones, which, by the way, is completely relevant to this conversation today. So if you're not already subscribed to the newsletter, I want you to head over to drkarenosborn.com/action guide. And you also get all of the episodes every single day, Monday through Friday, with all the show notes and resources. And number 3, I want you to go ahead and check out the Sisterhood. If you do not want to feel alone, if you want to be around other women who are like you that are doing this work, if you want the accountability of other women, if you would like the action of being able to have live trainings with me every single week, then the Sisterhood is for you. So that's over at drkarenosborn.com/sisterhood. And this group coaching program I've had for over a year, and there's just been like significant shifts with the women that have been inside the Sisterhood. When you go over to drkarenosborn.com/sisterhood, you're going to see the stories of women around the world and the impact the Sisterhood has been in their life. So that is it, my sister. I will talk to you in the next episode. A life of more is just one step away from you doing the fucking work every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosborn.com/newsletter.